Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, dear journalists, media. Thank you for coming. My name is Elena Frolova. I'm representing Center for Defense Strategies. I'm one of the hosting parties of the conference. And we are very glad that this conference happened. Actually, we planned it for a few years. We planned it before the full-scale invasion of Russian Federation. And I think that this is a very good example that the Black Sea for a long time was out of the attention of the community of NATO, of leading countries who can support the security of this region. And actually this conference is planned to bring Black Sea back on the political map and to develop the discussions about the future security configuration of the Black Sea. We as the Black Sea nations, we in Romania and other Black Sea nations should play the substantial and leading role in bringing back the peace to this sea and land. And the conference actually combined here the efforts of experts and efforts of officials. And experts, representatives of expert network of Crimean Platform developed their recommendations, which I do recommend you to have a look. This is a non-paper which is delivered and which will be presented today to political decision makers, where we have a practical recommendation, what we can do for now to make the Black Sea region more sustainable, and how we see the future configuration, how we see the role of NATO, of US, of UK, of any substantial player, of Turkey, and how we see the role of the regional powers. So I do encourage you to listen attentively, to have a lot of difficult questions, and thank you one more time for paying attention to this conference. Let's make the Black Sea a peaceful and sustainable region. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Bucharest. We are about to start in 2 minutes, so please take your seats. Thank you.
Dear Ministers, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is for me a great honor to open here in Bucharest the first Black Sea Conference under the aegis of the International Crimea Platform. And I am grateful to my colleague, Minister Angel Tâlvăr, for his partnership in making this conference a success. I'm sorry that due to unforeseen but very objective and very dire challenges related to the war, that my colleague and friend, Minister Kuleba, is not able to be here with us today in physical presence and needs to intervene via VTC. This is another cruel reminder of the impact of the war and that peace cannot come at any cost. I know, dear Dmytro, that this event is very dear to you and that you would have made everything in your power to be here. Romania strongly condemns the horrid and atrocious crimes committed by Russia and reiterates that all those responsible must be held accountable. Dear participants, I would like to suggest a moment of silence for the victims of this irrational and unjust war. To intervene via VTC. This is another cruel reminder of the impact of the war and that peace cannot come at any cost. I know, dear Dmytro, that this event is very dear to you and that you would have made everything in your power to be here. Romania strongly condemns the horrid and atrocious crimes committed by Russia. Thank you so much. And reiterates that all those responsible. Dear friends, today we have a full day of firsts, of premieres. It is the first ever security-focused conference under the Crimea Platform, and for Romania it is of particular significance because it is focused on Black Sea security. It is the first time that Romania and Ukraine organize together such an important event. And later today we will also have another first, which is the first time the trilateral Romania, Republic of Moldova, Ukraine, which was last time first organized in Odessa in September, in the format with our ministers of defense in order to discuss security issues. So I am delighted to welcome to Bucharest our Ukrainian partners and friends, and I would like to acknowledge the presence here of Mrs. Emine Japarova, First Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine. Thank you for coming. The Romanian-Ukrainian partnership in organizing this conference could not have been more appropriate. Dear Dmytro, dear Alexei, this event is one more proof that Romania, our region, and as a matter of fact, the whole world, stands in solidarity with Ukraine and commends its extraordinary resilience in the face of the brutal Russian aggression. We continue to mourn the victims of Russia's war against Ukraine, and we must continue to push for accountability for the crimes committed in your country. Romania stood by Ukraine in the very first day of this aggression as a neighbor and a true friend. As a pillar of regional stability in the Black Sea area, a provider of security, Romania has promptly granted a multidimensional response. We have demonstrated to the Ukrainian people that we are together in words, but also in deeds. We have offered support to over 3.9 million Ukrainian refugees, while also facilitating the transit of almost 15 million tons of grain from Ukraine through our territory. I reassure you that the Romanian support towards Ukraine will continue. We will also resolutely accompany Ukraine on its European and Euro-Atlantic path of integration. And I want to reaffirm Romania's full determination to continue our multidimensional support for as long as it takes to win this war. We all want peace. Peace in full respect of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine, in full respect of the UN Charter and of the fundamental principles of international law. But negotiations can only start when Ukraine is ready, and the victory will look like in the way Ukraine will define it. Distinguished audience, your presence here today is vivid proof of our common goal to reverse Russia's aggression, to defend our common security and values, and to consolidate the rules-based international order. We are gathered here because we all have a stake in the security of the Black Sea, its present and its future. I welcome your presence and your interest. Unfortunately, the events of the past year have confirmed what Romania was already warning about for quite a number of years. Instead of peace and stability, The Black Sea region has become the primary target of the Russian aggression. For years, Russia has weaponized every means at its disposal to keep the countries in the area in what it sees in a totally illegitimate way as its sphere of influence. Protracted conflicts, corruption, energy supplies, agricultural exports, hybrid tactics always accompanied the Russian actions, and such behavior will continue. Close partner countries in the region, like the Republic of Moldova, are increasingly impacted by Russian pressure. Russia has expanded control over the northwest basin of the Black Sea, in close proximity of the Romanian waters, and implicitly the Allied territorial waters, in effect placing constraints on economic activities, posing outright challenges to maritime transport and impeding the freedom of navigation, and increasing the risk of miscalculations. Ladies and gentlemen, the strong and united reaction of the European, Euro-Atlantic community and their global partners challenged Russia's behavior and hopefully discouraged other actors from using the same tools and patterns of aggression. But we must do more. Romania's position is clear and has been stated on numerous occasions, including at the NATO Foreign Ministerial that I hosted in Bucharest last November. The first such type of allied formal reunion on the eastern flank after the beginning of the war against Ukraine. The Black Sea is critical to the collective security of NATO, to the future of European security and prosperity, and to the rules-based international order. Romania is doing a lot to strengthen Black Sea security for NATO and EU members, and as well as for our partners, be it Ukraine, the victim of Russia's aggression, or for, as I previously said, the Republic of Moldova and Georgia, who are, after Ukraine, the most vulnerable to Moscow's pressures. NATO's new strategic concept states, as Romania strongly advocated, that Russia is the most direct and serious threat to the alliance, and that the Black Sea is of strategic importance to Euro-Atlantic security. Given the historical decision adopted in Madrid last year, NATO is transforming its posture, especially on the eastern flank, in view of ensuring the forward defense. As we prepare for the NATO summit in Vilnius, we need to work for the full implementation of the decisions taken in Madrid, especially those related to the defense and deterrence posture on the eastern flank, including at the Black Sea. We are also firmly standing by the open doors policy and the Bucharest summit decisions. We will work towards a strategic alignment of NATO and Ukraine, just as I have supported at the beginning of April the resumed NATO-Ukraine Commission after 6 years, and where I have participated together with Minister Kuleba. It is clear that Ukraine is essential to our future European security, just as the Republic of Moldova. For Romania at national level, it is more than clear that the consolidation of the security of Ukraine and of the Republic of Moldova means the consolidation of our own security. Our support through the voluntary contributions to NATO defense capacity building programs and through the European Peace Facility to Ukraine and Republic of Moldova is a clear proof that our investment in consolidating their resilience continues. Guaranteeing hard security is the foundation for security in general, but not its sole component. Security also means societal resilience, given by democracy, by individual liberties, by rule of law, by accountability, by fighting disinformation, and having reliable food and energy supplies. Safety of critical infrastructure is also a prerequisite. So we must work together towards strengthening all these other components. Dear guests, Romania advocates for a joint NATO-EU long-term coordinated strategy with a strong US presence and involvement in order to consolidate our security, prosperity, democratic resilience and connectivity of the region and support the advancement of legitimate European and Euro-Atlantic aspirations. In NATO's long-term adaptation process, a strong foothold of the alliance in the Black Sea is a must. Within the alliance, we have to call for a permanent, sustainable presence along NATO's entire eastern flank with a solid component in the Black Sea. Romania will continue to work with our NATO allies to develop a regular rotational maritime presence in the Black Sea and defend freedom of navigation. We welcome the high interest of the United States in the Black Sea and look forward to our strategy, to our partners' strategy in the area, as Romania has already sent its contribution in this regard. We welcome the broad anticipated focus of the approach encompassing security in all its formats. Additionally, we will work within the European Union on coordinating a strategy to support democratic initiatives and economic prosperity in the region, which includes European Union members, but also European Union aspirant nations. other EU-related instruments or NATO programs or regional initiatives such as Bucharest 9 format and the 3Cs initiative provide valuable avenues to increase the strategic resilience of the countries in the region. The President of Romania, Mr. Klaus Iohannis, will host in September the 3Cs Initiative Summit, and we are working hard to prepare effective and substantial deliveries. All the above should serve to develop opportunities for increased investment and economic expansion, particularly on energy, climate and transport and digital infrastructure. On a global scale, efforts must be redoubled to counter Russia's propaganda and misinformation, which aims at breaking our unity and solidarity. At the same time, measures to prevent agriculture-related crises in vulnerable countries, especially in Africa, would clearly bolster the credibility to our actions and efforts. Dear friends, Romania's top priority is to transform the Black Sea region from an area of conflict to an area of peace, stability and prosperity. Restoring peace and stability in our area will require a long-term effort. Mutual solidarity, unity of purpose, coherence in our actions are key requisites for success and crucial for mutual long-term security and prosperity. Adaptation to the new regional and global realities is now the challenge of our time, and it is something we need to deal with head-on. The Black Sea is a mirror in which the European continent and the world can see what their future will look like. It will be either free and democratic, or ruled by fear, by hatred, and the will of the most powerful. It is up to us to shape our future. Our discussions today will also chart this way forward. I am sure our debates will contribute to fostering ideas on how to increase security in the region in order to transform it in a true sea of peace, stability, and prosperity. Thank you. Dear Dmytro, I'm very glad to see you online. I hope you can hear us.
I hope.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Good.
It is.
I see Bogdan speaking, so I will wait until he puts his microphone down.
Dear Dmytro, can you hear us?
Now I can hear you.
Wonderful. So, I'm very glad to invite you as co-host of this conference to take the floor. And I want to express my gratitude to you, Dmytro, for the initiative of organizing this event in Bucharest. And I'm very sorry that you couldn't make it in physical presence, but we do understand, all of us, this terrible situation that you are facing and you have to manage. So, you have the floor, dear Dmytro. You're welcome to Bucharest Online.
Thank you. Dear Bogdan, dear Nico, dear Alexei, ladies and gentlemen, I sincerely regret not joining you in person in Bucharest today because of the developments that have kept me in Kiev. I began my working day with, I think, the same task as my dear colleague Alexei, making calls, texting messages about on speeding up deliveries of weapons to Ukraine. This is what he and me do on the daily basis, 24/7, to speed up the preparations for the counteroffensive of Ukraine. And of course, we were all devastated yesterday by the by the horrible video, and we spent the day yesterday mobilizing international reaction to this horrific crime. Today, first of all, I thank you, Bogdan, for supporting this initiative to call together this forum and give a closer look at the present and future of the Black Sea region. The International Crimea Platform has proven to be an effective mechanism. It has brought together peace-loving nations which oppose aggression and occupation. We are united by UN Charter principles and the shared conviction that Crimea is Ukraine and it will return under Ukraine's control. And every time you hear anyone from any corner of the world saying that Crimea is somehow special and should not be returned to Ukraine, as any other part of our territory, you have to know one thing. Ukraine categorically disagrees with these statements. There is no difference between Simferopol, Donetsk, Lugansk, Kherson, or any other Ukrainian city. They all must and will be Ukraine again, like Kherson already did. I think we all agree today that Russian aggression has broken our region's security into many pieces that need to be put together anew. Many of us thought the 21st century would be one of peace, development and cooperation. Unfortunately, Russia traveled the opposite way and arrived in the 19th century of colonial conquests. Now there is a bleeding wound in the middle of Europe, a dark and surreal time. But as they say, dark times bring forward good people. There is a lot of light, courage and power in those around the world who support Ukraine. I take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you present here or not for standing with us in the darkest hour. We are a community, united not only by common values, but also by common sense and common sea. We all want it to be an area of peace and prosperity, not a war zone. Black Sea is instrumental for making the whole of Europe peaceful and future-oriented. Sadly, Black Sea is also a showcase of how rapidly things can deteriorate if one neglects threats. For years, Russia has been saber-rattling and militarizing in front of us. Georgia, Ukraine, Syria, and Ukraine again. Moscow was launching one brutal attack after another. Many in the West chose to believe that Russians had their own truth. But the one and only truth is that Russia has always prepared for a big imperialistic war with an end goal of holding another Yalta conference to divide Europe into spheres of influence. I regret to say it, but I believe the West had no consistent Black Sea strategy, while Russia has always had one: aggressive, revanchist and barbaric. And by the way, I would like to remind everyone that the first assault of Russia on the territorial integrity of Ukraine took place on the island of Tuzla in the Black Sea, set between the Black Sea and the Azov Sea. So, if we trace this aggression back to its very origins, it was the Black Sea, the place where the first attempt of aggression began 20 years ago. Russia did have a strategy. Every step of the way, Russia acted where the West doubted. When fear-driven cautiousness closed NATO doors to Ukraine and Georgia in 2008, Russia quickly responded with attacking both. Russia was becoming a maniac, but some leaders decided that the best strategy was to keep the maniac happy, including by keeping his potential victims defenseless. The upcoming NATO summit in Vilnius is the right time to correct mistakes of the past by taking resolute step forward on the path to Ukraine's NATO membership, to show that the door is not only open, but there is a clear plan on when and how Ukraine will enter it. I assume we all understand now that fear is not a strategy. It is time to work out a comprehensive security network for all nations of the region that feel threatened by the maniac on the loose. It's time to turn Black Sea into what the Baltic Sea has become, a sea of NATO. This war has proven that the security of the region is indivisible. A threat to one is a threat to all. Missiles launched by Russia at Ukraine have threatened neighboring Poland, Romania and Moldova. Russian strikes on Ukraine's power grid provoked blackouts in Moldova. Millions of Ukrainians fled the war. And I take this opportunity to thank you, Bogdan, and your colleagues in the Romanian government and the people of Romania for embracing Ukrainian refugees. Trade routes were disrupted, and I equally thank you for playing an active role in keeping these routes of solidarity working to help bypass Russian blockade. Black Sea ecosystem was damaged. Russian-occupied Crimea keeps posing a threat to everyone. Today, Russia uses all of its hybrid tools to destabilize Moldova. We in Ukraine commend Maya Sandu's leadership in countering these attempts and reiterate Ukraine's resolute readiness to stand with Moldova. Together, we will thwart Russia's malicious plans to sow chaos and instability in our region. We need to address the common Russia problem together. For instance, I support the expert idea to integrate the air and missile defense systems of Ukraine with the ones of the Black and Baltic Sea NATO allies. It also makes sense for Ukraine to be part of the European Defense Initiative, and I've been raising this issue with Josep Borrell recently. All these steps are important now, but even more so after Ukraine liberates its territories. Ukraine's victory will be a victory for all of us. To bring this day closer, we need to have strategic endurance and take principled decisions. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, today is the first anniversary of the sinking of the Moskva cruiser, an event that occurred in the Black Sea and enhanced Black Sea security in practice. The formula is simple. The less Russian military, the safer our region is. There will be a day when other Russian warships will follow in the same direction, one way or another. We are working to bring this day closer with the support of our friends and partners. April 13th also marks another sad anniversary. Exactly 9 years ago, Russian military groups that infiltrated Ukrainian Donbass spilled the first blood. On this day in 2014, a Russian Special Operations Group, led by an FSB veteran, attacked a group of Ukrainian officers near the city of Sloviansk. Ukraine's security service captain, 41-year-old Gennady Bilichenko, was killed on the spot, becoming the first combat victim of Russia's war in the Donbass. Back then, the Ukrainian forces still had an order to avoid opening fire because the common belief was that the war could still be averted. But when you are shot at, there is no other way than to shoot back. So a 29-year-old Lieutenant, Vadim Sukharevsky, opened fire in return and deflected the attack. This moment set history in motion. Vadim is now 38, a colonel, a brigade commander decorated with the highest award, the Hero of Ukraine. He now leads units in the hottest spots of the front line. And I share this old story with you for two reasons. First, to remind that Russia's war on Ukraine started not last year, but 9 years ago. And second, to make the point that you can wish for peace, but you cannot pretend it's peace, especially when someone attacks you. We all want peace, but a just and lasting peace like the one envisioned by President Zelensky's peace formula, it's not only in Ukraine's, but in all of Europe's and the world's interests to see this formula implemented. If the history of the past century and the past decades is to teach us anything, it is that the world needs real peace, not appeasement. Real peace means restoring the internationally recognized borders of Ukraine. Real peace means a safe homeland for the Tatar people in the Ukrainian Crimea. Real peace means grain ships in the Black Sea, not warships. A world under the rule of international law, rather than force, is what real peace means. That is what we are fighting for. This is what this conference is for. Not only to win the war, but to win a real lasting peace. If Russia keeps Crimea, once it has rebuilt its strengths, it will use it as a launchpad to invade Ukraine once again and take full control of the Black Sea. We will not allow this to happen. This is why we will liberate every inch of our territory and every last one of our fellow citizens. And that is why we are today calling for a demilitarization of the Black Sea, so that peaceful, law-abiding countries can once again use the shared sea to trade, travel, and live freely without fear of Russian warships. Let us persist on the way to this common goal. Thank you for your attention. I wish you very productive discussions today. I'm sorry I'm not in Bucharest today, and as I said yesterday to Bogdan, I owe you a visit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dmitry, and I'm looking forward to the visit to Bucharest. And I have now the pleasure to invite my colleague and friend, the Romanian Defense Minister, Mr. Angel Tulver, our co-host, to give his introductory remarks. Minister, thank you so much for the excellent collaboration between our institutions, for the preparation of this event, and for hosting us in this beautiful historical building. Angel, ai cuvântul.
Mulțumesc, Bogdan. Thank you. Dear ministers, honorable speakers, distinguished guests, dear friends, it is a great pleasure for me to welcome you here in Bucharest at the National Military Club to debate an issue that has always been of strategic importance for us and which has gained even more relevance in the current geopolitical and geostrategic realms, the security of the Black Sea region. We are meeting at a crucial time. It is the first International Black Sea Security Conference under the aegis of the International Crimea Platform. It is a real honor to having here in Bucharest for the first time Minister Reznikov since the war of aggression started last year in February. I truly believe that, as many world stage experts stated, we should look at the Black Sea as the strategic center of gravity. Europe faces the most complex and unpredictable security dynamics in decades. Russia's brutal war of aggression against Ukraine has brought back full-scale conventional war on our continent. The aggressive actions of Russia have increased insecurity in the Euro-Atlantic space and negatively impacted the rules-based international order and the global security. We have been talking about notions such as inflection point or historical crossroad. Whatever we call it, while the international order is being reshaped, we must recognize the key role of the Black Sea. The importance of the Black Sea is acknowledged both in the NATO strategic concept as well as within the EU strategic compass. The region is marked for 3 decades already by significant security risks and challenges, including protracted conflicts, the build-up of the aggressive military posture of Russia, hybrid actions, and not least the weaponization of the economic and energy instruments. Last year, on February 24th, the international democratic community witnessed the true intentions of Russia, which decided to start a full-scale invasion of a sovereign, independent nation. They believe that Ukraine is not a state, that it is a place without a nation, but that was a terrible mistake. In the 414th day of this brutal war of aggression, the brave Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian armed forces demonstrated that they are a true nation determined to protect every inch of their territory. Romania stood aside our neighbor and partner since day one. Russia failed in dividing us, and it also failed in achieving its military and strategic goals. The international support offered to Ukraine has been a game changer, and we consider that we need to continue to sustain Ukraine as long as it will be necessary. After more than 1 year of war, if we look at the situation on the front, we see that Russia struggles to preserve territories illegally occupied, and Ukraine is making progresses in liberating the occupied territories. Over more than 1 year of ruthless fighting, Ukraine has achieved remarkable and encouraging success on the front lines. Bakhmut front remains an important focus of the war. The fighting in and around the city has been the most violent of recent months. But as NATO Secretary General said, we must not underestimate Russia. The objective of this conference is to raise awareness and to demonstrate once more our unity. Dear friends, I hope this conference, which gathers statesmen, diplomats and experts in the security and defense related fields, will be both interesting and edifying in profiling the Black Sea as what it is, a region of massive strategic relevance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister, for your opening address. And I have now the pleasure to invite the fourth co-host, Minister of Defense of Ukraine, Oleksiy Reznikov, to deliver his opening remarks. Oleksiy, you have the floor.
Dear Ministers, dear distinguished participants of this Black Sea Security Conference, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to express my deep appreciation of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Romania, the Minister of National Defense of Romania, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, my friend of mine, Dmytro Kuleba, and also Defense Strategic, Ukraine, for organizing this important event, not only for Ukraine, but the whole Black Sea region and Europe. And as you know, a year ago, on this day, Ukrainian Navy forces hit the Russian flag warship cruiser Moskva, and it became very important and famous dive site in the Black Sea. I believe this is a good symbol of today's event and guarantee of productive work. More than 400 days ago, Russia started a full-scale invasion that has killed thousands, forced millions to flee their homes, reduced entire cities to rubble, and caused a military conflict on a scale that Europe hasn't seen for the last 80 years. The invasion made it obvious for European countries that food is used as a weapon, energy is used as a weapon. And the war spreads its influence far beyond the borders of actual hostilities. Violation by the aggressor of all existing principles of international law and order requires that we reconsider the critical aspects of regional security. This is in the best interest of every country in the region. We cannot rely on the practice we used until recently they failed. Ukraine is open to this conversation, but unity of efforts of the free world, we will ensure the return of the world of the rule of law, not the rule of force, and will make the Black Sea the space of peace. Thank you very much.
I thank you, Minister, for your remarks. And please allow me to, at my turn, to congratulate you for the courage and resilience of your women and men defending your country in such a brave way, but also for the core values that you are protecting. And now, let me express also my gratitude to all of you who have been traveling to Bucharest for attending this event, but also for those who are online with us or who will present their messages via VTC. Our event is basically highlighting the strategic importance of the Black Sea region, and the aim is to chart the way forward. So I hope that we will be able together today, during our debates, to send a very strong message of unity and solidarity. Before proceeding further with the next panel, I would like to indicate a couple of organizational details. I would like to invite my fellow ministers and heads of delegations to join us to a family photo, which will take place in about 15 minutes in front of the main stairs. We need this technical break in order for the colleagues for the media to prepare their cameras. And then, by that moment, please join me into the holding room in order to wait for the family photo to be ready. And then the next panel will start according to the program. Thank you.